for the Empire.
When it was announced, I don't think anyone knew what to expect from Rogue One. Originally announced as Star Wars anthology Rogue One in 2015, it would be the first in a series of standalone Star Wars spin-off films announced alongside the sequel trilogy after the Disney buyout of Lucasfilm in October 2012. We knew it would be different from the traditional Star Wars episodes, but we didn't really know how. Okay, we knew it would be more of a gritty war film, giving us a boots-on-the-ground take on this galaxy to tell the story of the rebels who stole the plans to the Death Star prior to the start of Episode 4. This still left us with a lot of questions as to what the film would be like. From what I remember, the main things people were wondering about how Rogue One would differ were the musical score, the opening crawl, and marketing. Would the score embrace a more experimental and less traditional Star Wars sound? No. Would the film have an opening crawl or expository text to start the film? No, but Solo had one. Would Disney employ a different marketing strategy from The Force Awakens so people would know that this was a spin-off and not Episode 8? No. While following the lead up to the release of Rogue One in 2015 and 2016, yes, me, came across an article on comicbookmovie.com that described a rumored Rogue One TV spot for the 2016 Super Bowl. Now, according to the article, this spot would for sure feature two things. A first look at the CGI recreation of Grand Moff Tarkin, portrayed by the late Peter Cushing, and the Coldplay song Adventure of a Lifetime. Now, if I recall correctly,
probably do.
Coldplay would perform as the halftime act and use Adventure of a Lifetime to lead into the trailer where the song would feature. Upon reading this article and hearing of this idea, I was confused but also very intrigued. This marketing strategy of a Super Bowl spot with a pop song tying into the halftime show sounded more like something Marvel would do. It sounds completely foreign for good old Star Wars. The thing is, I believed it was possible, and I immediately went and listened to the song for myself to try and imagine what a Star Wars trailer cut to that would look like. Now, just imagine how cool that would be. Like, Coldplay starts playing Adventure of a Lifetime, and then like stormtroopers just rush the stage and try to stop them from playing. Then the rebels come in and like take the stage back, and then they tell them to like keep playing, like no man, keep playing. And then the Rogue One trailer just shows up on the Jumbotron. Okay, that might be too elaborate, but I was still hoping for something like this, as it would give me a legitimate reason to watch any part of the Super Bowl for the first time ever. So, obviously, and to my immense disappointment, this Rogue One Super Bowl spot featuring Adventure of a Lifetime did not happen. But it's still possible that one was in development. So, for those of you who don't know, the majority of movie trailers aren't made in-house. The studio will partner with an outside company that specializes in trailers and marketing to cut a trailer out of the bits and pieces of footage and scenes from the movie, which are sent by the studio. It's not really possible to say one way or the other if Disney might have wanted to have a Super Bowl spot at the ready if they decided to buy one. Now, that's tougher to say in the affirmative. If it was supposed to be this big staged event that would tie into the halftime, that would require a lot more planning and coordination and probably at least a month or two out. Who knows, maybe this was something that was in the early stages of planning a month or two before the big game, and that's where the rumor came from. And maybe the idea was thrown around internally but ultimately scrapped. Now, with that being said, if you think about it, Disney has plenty of valid reasons to skip a Star Wars Super Bowl spot. I said before that Disney could have had a trailer ready should they have wanted to buy one, and buy is the key word there. A single 30-second slot during the Super Bowl will cost any given company at least $7 million, and upwards of $8 million in some cases. Being the most viewed thing of the year in the United States is what drives up competition and price. There was a similar rumor in 2019 that Disney wanted to have a Super Bowl spot for The Rise of Skywalker, but they ultimately lost that bid to Pepsi, giving us this commercial.
Pepsi's more than okay. It's okay. Okay, what have we learned today?
You want a Pepsi?
I want a Pepsi.
The saddest part is that some people would say that this commercial is better than The Rise of Skywalker. It might be close, but I actually do like The Rise of Skywalker, and I'm also more of a Mountain Dew guy.
Do it.
It's also important to remember that in any given year, including 2016 and 2019, Disney already had at least one or two slots for Marvel movies and any other films of theirs releasing that year. So taking out another one for a Star Wars movie, which practically markets itself, is pretty redundant. I can see why it might be good to have a Star Wars spot at the Super Bowl, but I also totally get why there hasn't been one yet. It's also fair to question the original source of the rumor, the article on comicbookmovie.com. I only read that article once, but if anybody else remembers seeing it or could find that article, then please let me know. I'd be curious to see if anyone remembers seeing that rumor or if the article wasn't actually saying what I thought it was saying. It's possible, but I specifically remember listening to Adventure of a Lifetime and trying to imagine it in a Star Wars trailer, and it really doesn't fit, especially with the tone of Rogue One. And I would even tell friends for years to come, hey, did you know there was going to be a Rogue One trailer with a Coldplay song? So I am confident that this article was describing that, but I am okay with being proven wrong on this. While I don't remember being as excited for Rogue One as I was for the sequel trilogy, it was still really exciting to follow during the build-up to release, and of course the movie turned out great. Part of what made Rogue One so exciting as a Star Wars fan was that it made me feel like anything was possible. Yeah, it made me feel like I'm alive again.